Good evening and welcome to the show. Goodness. Happy, Merry Christmas to you all. A Merry Christmas Eve and happy holidays. You know, I thought about today not doing a show just because of the holidays. And you know what? I said, there's so much going on surrounding the birds and this loss last week. And so much interaction on social media as well, that I figured it'd be a good time to come on. We got an hour, kids don't go to bed, till about 7:30, 8 o'clock. Santa Claus won't show up until around midnight. So I figured, we get a show in. A couple of things I want to thank you guys for and also bring to your attention is that, I think you guys know, you guys have been following me over on, some of the other things that I'm doing. I want to thank you guys for participating in the Joyner Family Foundation and the CHOP Hospital collaboration. We raised over $5,000 in 1 week's time, a bunch of toys. If you guys follow me on social media, there's pictures up. My wife and I last Friday went and spent the day with the kids over at CHOP Hospital. It was absolutely awesome. And from the bottom of our hearts, we just want to thank you guys for participating and getting on board and helping us make this a very Merry Christmas, for some kids that are dealing with, some real serious life issues. The other thing is we've got another giveaway this week. If you guys follow me on social media, I posted a video today. We got 2 tickets to the Dallas game that we're giving away this week on the Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, wherever I'm at. Follow me there for that. You guys can enter. All the information will be in the content on those posts. We're going to give that. We're going to pick a winner on Friday. So someone's going to be going to see us, beat the brakes off the Cowboys at the Link on Sunday, and we'll give those away on Friday afternoon and get those tickets to you. The other thing is we've got, a BG jersey that we're giving away. I think we're going to give it away on Sunday. I'm not sure. It'll either be this Sunday or next Sunday in the post-game show. We will announce the winner of that. And we've got the ball and helmet, mini helmet and ball that we're giving away each week in our post-game show. And we're pulling that winner straight from the chat during the post-game show. So make sure you guys are tuning in everywhere that you can tune in to get in on the chance to win some of this stuff. Okay, let's talk some football. A lot of chatter on social media because I had some controversial things, I guess, to say after the Eagles loss. The main thing is, my opinion on Jaylen Hurts. And I wish, as you can see, my surroundings are different. I'm home for the holidays in Arizona with my family. So I'm not in the studio. My producers, running the show from back in Philly. But I don't have my whiteboard, so I can't, draw some stuff up for you guys tonight. What I should have did was probably drawn it up on a piece of paper, taking a screenshot of it. I can put it up there. Next time I'll do it that way when I don't have the ability to get to my whiteboard. But, I made some comments in the post-game show talking about the importance of Jaylen Hurts in this offense. And I got some blowback from some people. I got, some chatter, from some other people that I'm not going to give them the promotion on my show that they're probably after. It started making these comparisons of Jaylen Hurts and all these other quarterbacks, and the fact that the pass offense is ranked 31st in the National Football League. Listen, man, when I was watching that game and Jaylen Hurts went out of that game, it was pretty darn evident to me that A.J. Brown is a great player. Saquon Barkley is a great player. But really, the gas that makes that engine go is Jaylen Hurts. And this is I'm going to explain it to you because I can't draw it up and show it to you. When Jaylen Hurts went out of the game, the entire game plan changed because there are elements that Jaylen Hurts brings to the table that, let me adjust my camera a little bit. There are elements that Jaylen brings to the table that, quite frankly, not only Kenny Pickett, but there's only maybe one or two other quarterbacks in the National Football League that could come over, assume this offense, and run it with the efficiency that Jaylen runs it with. And this is why. Jaylen is the linchpin for the passing game. If he's not on, if he's not accurate, and he's not getting the ball out on time and on rhythm, the pass game suffers. We've experienced some of that this year. Week before last, he came out and proved to everybody once again that he could do that if necessary. Nick Sirianni said, hey, you want us to pass? We'll pass. You want us to run? We'll run. And essentially what he was saying is that we can beat you any way that we need to beat you, okay? The key component is Jaylen Hurts in the football game. Because believe it or not, Jaylen Hurts is the reason that Saquon Barkley has been so prolific this year. He's a part of that. I'm not saying he's the reason, but he's a major part of that. And this is why. When Jaylen Hurts is in the game and they get to their RPO or their read option stuff, the threat that Jaylen can pull the ball and take off and run requires that the defensive end and the linebackers play an honest brand of football. That means that when they're running the read option, they're optioning the end guy on the line of scrimmage. So he's got to make a decision. Do I take Jaylen or do I take Saquon on the dive? Okay. If he makes the decision to step at Saquon, Jaylen pulls the ball, he takes off around the corner. Now the defense is in chase mode because they don't have anybody to set the edge unless they're scraping the linebacker. And a lot of times the linebacker doesn't get out there in time enough to actually get to Jaylen. Okay. Especially if that tackle it's on the weak side. That tackle now has the ability to step across the line of scrimmage and shield that linebacker off. So now Jaylen's on the secondary right now. If that defensive end comes at Jaylen, he hands the ball off. You still got man blocking across the board. They can either hit it up inside or Saquon can, bust it outside. He's made a lot of plays that way. Okay. In the passing game, when he pulls that, when he's reading and it's a run pass for him with that fake dive to Saquon, and he's looking outside to AJ on the slant, he's reading that linebacker on that side. If that linebacker steps up, he can pull it, throw it outside. If that linebacker holds his spot, now Jaylen can pull it and run or hand it off. He's got all these options at his disposal. Okay. Now, why do I say, there's very few other quarterbacks that can do that? Because if you really stop and think about it, Jaden Daniels is a guy that can do it. They don't do a whole lot of it, but they run some of it. You think about Lamar Jackson, he can do it. And probably Josh Allen. There's not another quarterback. So for all these pundits to say, you can take any quarterback in the National Football League and put them in this offense, and they'll run it 10 times better than Jaylen does. I beg to differ, because those guys don't run the ball as efficiently as Jaylen runs it. They don't read the situation as efficiently as Jaylen does. Okay. And they might not be that good at pulling it and throwing the ball at the same time. So you got all of these dynamics, okay? So I know some of you are like, well, what makes you say that? Any quarterback can do that. No, they can't. Because when they put Kenny Pickett in the game, and trust me, he did what he could. It was a valiant effort. I went back and I watched the game today again because I just wanted to make sure that what my eyes saw the first time that I could verify it. So when I come on here tonight and start talking to you guys about it, that I'm talking from a position of really understanding what happened. Kenny Pickett comes in the game. And after I believe he was in the game when Saquon busted the 68-yarder. They had the numbers to that side. Everything was in their favor. The DBs took a bad angle. Boom, he's out the gate for 68 yards. Okay. Came in 3 plays, 3 for 3, 4-yard touchdown to A.J. Brown. Okay. Great start. But I think that Dan Quinn and that Commanders defense knew that now the game had to go through Saquon. So they adjusted what they did. Last week I gave you guys the drawing where we talked about the single high safety and the double high safety. And when you're in double high, you want to run because we got numbers in the box. We got 6 on 6. And if they go single high, they drop the extra guy in the box. And you want to pass because you got a free hitter if you're trying to run the football. Okay. So they knew that the Eagles were going to lean on Saquon a little more. In the first half of that football game, I believe Saquon had somewhere in the neighborhood of 108, maybe 115 yards total rushing. By the time that game ended, Saquon had 150. So what did the Washington Commanders do differently that forced the Eagles' hand? Every time they hand the ball off to Saquon, and they ran a lot on first down, which I didn't understand. I didn't understand why they didn't go play action pass with Kenny Pickett and throw on first down, come back, get, first, second, and manageable, and then turn around and run the ball on second down. Because if you win on first down, then it puts you in a situation where you have the flexibility to either run it or throw it on second down, knowing that you're going to get third and manageable if you go incomplete on first down. And you still have the option, if you can get to third and really short, if you're in the right position, you can go for it on fourth down. Okay. They ran so much on first down that they were minus yards. And I would love to go back and look at the analytics and see what the numbers turned out to be. But I guarantee you they had to be about 90, 95% run on first down. And it got so bad after a while, they were in 2nd and 12, 2nd and 13, 2nd and 14 on so many occasions. Now, that's difficult for Kenny Pickett because they're crashing their ends instead of reading it because they know that Kenny Pickett is not going to pull it and run. So that was the massive adjustment by the Washington Commanders. They went single high safety. They played a lot of one-on-one, and they said, Kenny Pickett's going to have to beat us throwing the football. He did an admirable job. 14 for 24. 118 net yards. That's because he had 3 sacks, and they took away 25 yards. So that 146, that number goes down exponentially. And I know he's the backup, but let's talk about if Jaylen Hurts was the guy, or when he had a day like that, and he was only, 14 for 24, 118 yards, everybody across the nation wanted to crucify him. And I get it. He's the backup quarterback. He did an admirable job. But I'm just talking about how we move the goalposts and how we deal with how we sometimes, some of the people in Philadelphia view Jaylen Hurts and how he's viewed on a national level as well. Okay. So Kenny couldn't give to the offense what Jaylen would give to the offense. Okay. And the Eagles went up 21-0 and scored 4 field goals. They were 3 for 16 on third down conversions, 2 for 4 in the red zone. That was the difference in the game. Now, I can hear you guys now. Oh, what about the defense? I'm going to get there. Just bear with me, because it's imperative for me to get you guys to understand, and some of these national pundits to understand, that Jaylen is the reason that the offense goes. Don't just look at the passing numbers, okay? The passing numbers are going to look the way that they look because Saquon Barkley is having a historic on-record pace year. And they made the decision that this is how we're going to run our offense. So something has to suffer. The pass game has suffered. They haven't needed to throw the ball. So they did it in a minimalist kind of way, and they ran off 10 wins in a row. And people still are not happy. They still want to point at Jaylen as being the weak link, even after he had the 290-yard passing day, 2 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown the week before, okay? I'm just trying to get you guys to open your eyes to what's really true because there's a lot of rhetoric going on out there. There's a massive difference between talking football, and there's a lot of people that talk football and actually knowing football. I count myself as a person that actually knows the game, not only because I played it, but because I studied the game. And I could see all of these things that I'm talking about how Dan Quinn was adjusting his defense in game. I could see it with my own eyes. And I knew it was going to be tough on the Eagles because they were constantly getting behind the chains and they just couldn't convert. Listen, they had drives in the second half, okay? So the first half, they went touchdown, touchdown. Then Kenny Pickett threw the interception. Then they went touchdown on Saquon Barkley's long drive, long run, okay? Then at that point, they were up 21-7, okay? It went to hell in a handbasket from there. They went 4 plays, 47 yards punt. This is what it looked like as the half concluded. 4 plays, 47 yards punt. 3 plays, 9 yards punt. 3 plays, 8 yards punt. In 5 plays, 11 yards, Jake Elliott missed the 56-yard field goal to wrap up the half, okay? So think about that, how much the game changed from touchdown, touchdown, interception, touchdown to punt, 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 missed field goal, okay? Then you go to the second half. The second half, they went 6 plays, 69 yards, 24-yard field goal, okay? So they're in scoring position, but they can't get it in the end zone, okay? And they're not converting third downs. You can see that by the minimal amount of plays that they're actually, 2 plays, 2 plays, 4 plays, 3 plays, 3 plays, 5 plays, 6 plays, okay? 6 plays, 4 plays. They only had 2 drives over 10 yards in this football game, okay? Second half, they go 6 plays, 69 yards, 24-yard field goal. They go 14 plays, 36 yards. 14 plays, 36 yards. Just think about that. They held the ball. They had ran 14 plays for 36 yards, and Jake Elliott wound up having to kick a 40-yard field goal, okay? Then they go 5 plays, 13 yards, and they have to punt. Then they go 12 plays, 34 yards. Think about that. They ran 12 plays for 34 yards, and Jake Elliott had to wind up kicking a 50-yard field goal. It's first 50-yarder of the year. Then they went 4 plays on the last possession, 5 yards off the turnover, 4 plays, 5 yards. And then Jake has to kick another 40-yard field goal, okay? Now, I'm not saying that Kenny Pickett is the reason they lost. Devontae Smith dropped that ball. It happens. It's football. It's life, okay? Realistically, the Eagles could be 2 drop passes away from being 14-1 at this point, okay? But you can't cry over spilt milk. You got to make the plays when they're there to be made. I'm not here to point the finger at either he or Saquon. That's just the reality of it, okay? But what I'm trying to get you to see in these numbers is that if Jaylen Hurts is healthy, the offense works at a much more efficient way. And we probably beat the brakes off of, this Washington Commander football team. They let one get away. They really let one get away, okay? So let's talk about the defensive side of the ball. Wait a minute. One more thing. I got some questions about the concussion protocol and how it operates in the National Football League, because this is the mode of operation. When Jaylen got banged up, normally what happens when he comes off the field, okay, somebody from the Eagles takes his helmet away. Because what they don't want to have happen is they don't want to have Jaylen go run back out on the field and he hasn't cleared protocol. So then we look up, he goes in the tent, he comes out, he's got his helmet on, got it stretched up, he's stretching like he's going back in the game. And then out of nowhere, somebody comes to him, oh, we got to go to the locker room. The normal protocol should be go from the blue tent to the locker room. But something transpired in that blue tent that it was okay for him to get his helmet and put it back on his head and look like he's going back in. That's a no-no. Somebody screwed up. And then they take him back in for further testing. He was in the locker room for a quarter and a half before they got word that he was officially out of the game. Now, you tell me, what the hell were they doing in the locker room for a quarter and a half that they couldn't come up with in a shorter time span? Because it very rarely happens where a guy's in protocol and he goes in the locker room and it takes that long for them to make a determination. Something fishy happened in that scenario, and I don't like it. We'll probably never know what it was. Jaylen will never talk about it, but that just something about that just did not seem right to me. I'm sorry. That was way out of bounds. Way out of bounds. Okay, let's jump over on the defensive side of the ball. And by the way, after I get done talking about the defense, and we go through the first break, it's a Talk to Him Tuesday. So I'm taking all your questions the second half of the show. The defensive side of the ball, quite frankly, is the worst football game I've seen the defense play since the Tampa Bay game. Okay. The other thing is that the thing that peeved me off the most was C.J. Gardner-Johnson getting himself tossed out of this football game. You're already down your quarterback. Okay. You're an integral part of the defense, and you get yourself kicked out of the game after two unsportsmanlike conducts. Okay. So let me clear up some things because, I ranted about players being too friendly on the game on social media. Okay. And I feel strongly about that. All that yucking it up and buddy and, Jaden Daniels, yucking it up with our players. No. What I'm trying to do is when I'm in a competition like that is I'm trying to break your neck. Okay. And if that's the case, I'm not yucking it up, talking it up with you in the middle of a game. I'm trying to maintain my competitive edge. I don't like that. I don't like to see that. I know this is the new NFL, but it looks wrong. The optics don't look good. Okay. After the game, go over and shake the guy's hand. Y'all can yuck it up there. You want to hang out with him in the offseason? Do it in the offseason, but not in the throes of competition. It shouldn't be that way. Even if this is the new age NFL and the new age of sports, I'm old school. I don't play that. Okay. You're trying to take something that belongs to me in a 60-minute game, and I want every edge and I want every ability to know that that I'm serious about it. I played against friends. I played against ex-teammates. Doesn't matter. If they got on the other side, the other color, I'm trying to break them off any way possible. And I want them to know that if there's a situation where I could blow you up, I'm not pulling up. I want you to know that I'm coming for you. And I think that's a big mistake when you look at how our defense interacts with other teams' players in the game, during the game. Now, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, okay? A lot of people said you shouldn't get thrown out of a game for talking trash. And they brought up BG. And they're 100% correct because you know what? Nobody talks more trash than BG. But here's the difference. BG will be in the huddle while the offense is in the huddle, and he's talking trash from 10 yards away. When you get in another player's face, that's called taunting. That's why C.J. Gardner-Johnson got tossed out of the game for taunting, not for talking trash, but being up in another player's face and taunting. So now, you got the first penalty. And he, like everybody else, understands and knows that if you get the second one, it's a disqualification. So that should have been enough right there for him to realize I need to dial it back. I need to shut my mouth. I'm going to chirp, but I'm going to chirp from afar because I get it. That's part of his game. That's part of his passion. That's what makes him do what he does. Okay? The ref was wrong because on the first one, he's chirping with the guy. They're both in each other's face. It's not like CJ is in his face and the other guy's not in his. The guy turns around and smacks the helmet off of him. Okay? And the ref immediately turns to him and says, oh, no, it's you. It's you. The 15-yarder is on you. Okay? That was wrong because what it should have been was offsetting penalties and you move on. That's what it should have been. Move forward. He's chirping again. Up in somebody else's face again. And now the referee, I get it, it's soft because when I played, it wasn't that way. He's chirping and chirping again. Now understand, the referee just didn't say, bam, bam, 1, 2, you're out of here. I can promise you that head ref was having a conversation and telling him all along, hey, dial it back, man. You know, that's enough. Step back. Don't get close to him. You can talk from over there, but you can't get up in his face and talk in his face. I know that that's the conversation that transpired. That referee didn't just throw him out of the game. My point is, you're an integral part of the defense. We're already handicapped. We just lost our quarterback. What you need to do is focus on the game, talk where you can talk, but don't get up on guys talking crap. Because you already got strike 1. This ain't baseball. You ain't getting 3. You're only going to get 2. And he ran his mouth enough in the face of other players, taunting the other team, where the ref said, enough, you're out of here. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with it, but the rule is the rule. And you got to be smart enough to step back and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I just need to be quiet. Or maybe I need to rein it in a little bit. Okay? That's self-control. And you looking at the situation and not being selfish and thinking about what you need to project, but thinking about what the team needs from you, what this defense needs from you. Because the minute that he went out of the game, the complexion of the game changed. The entire secondary was in total disarray because when he and Reed Blankenship are on the field together, there's this communication that goes on. So as I'm looking at the game today, there's missed coverages, there's missed tackles, there's blown assignments. It just went on and on and on in the second half. It just went on and on and on. And he has to bear some of the responsibility of that because he is the veteran in that secondary. He and Slade are the oldest 2 players in that secondary. And somebody should have pulled him to the side. Listen, man, hey, we need you. Dial it back. But this is the problem when you don't have outright leaders on your defense that will look at him. Listen, I get it. I had players like that on my defense, but I would grab Andre Waters by the scruff of his neck and be like, man, shut up. Stop it. We need you on the field. We're a better football team with you on the field than we are with you in the locker room. Stop the shenanigans. Dial it back. We need you, man. That's my problem that I had with that entire situation. Is that it became, because sometimes when listen, nobody talked more trash than I did, okay? Because I believe that it was a psychological advantage for me to get into another guy's head. And the rules weren't as soft then as they are now, okay? But anytime a referee looked at me and said, hey, 59, dial it back, man. You going a little too far. You crossing the line. I was smart enough to know to do so because it was more important for me to stay in the game than for me to feel good about myself or make it about me than it was for me to not be in the game. That's my point on C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He just can't do that. He can't do that. I'm not saying it's his fault that they lost the game, but him not being on the field played a major role in why the defense collapsed in the second half and played one of the worst games that it's played all year long. Slade got hurt. He's out, and he's trying to run on the field. They had 2 12-men on the field penalties, and one of them came on a busted coverage because they left a wide receiver wide open. He runs down the field, touchdown. they got to be better than that. They got to be better than that. I mean, Vic Fangio did all he could. The pass rush wasn't getting there. Josh Sweat got banged up. So one of our premier pass rushers was out of the game. They held the running game down just fine. But Jaden Daniels ran roughshod through them. He had 9 scrambles rather, for 81 yards. One of them on a 4th and 13. And I can see with the players, it's like, okay, Reed Blankenship got a roughing last week. So we're going to run at him. And we expected him to slide, and he just kept running. And I'm like, sometimes you got to lay the wood on somebody, like they laid the wood on our quarterback. Treat their quarterback worse than they treat ours when you have the opportunity. And when he's running and staying up, he's telling you, I'm a running back, so you can treat me as such. But when I slide feet first, okay, now you got to back off. So the pass rush wasn't getting there as the game wore on, okay? And then Vic Fangio started running more and more blitzes. The issue with me is that he didn't run enough man-to-man blitzes. We ran a lot of zone blitzes. So the wide receivers were just running out 5 or 6 yards, curling up, putting them in second and short, third and 2 or 3 situations, But the whole defense was in disarray, Not that, they were running the ball all over us, but we couldn't get to the quarterback enough to affect him in a way where he couldn't just get the ball out. And my thing is, you don't have to play press coverage all the time. But you got to play it sometimes. I mean, you can't play man from off all the time, because the smart quarterbacks are just going to raise up and take what you give them. And that's what he did. Something that a thing that I don't understand why we don't do it more. It should be an automatic thing. If A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith lines up at X or Z, lines up out wide, and the cornerback is off 8 to 10 yards, it should be an automatic. Just raise up and throw on the ball. Let's get those 5 or 6 yards, maybe even more if they miss the tackle. Everybody does it to us, but we don't ever do it to anybody else. So the worst possible day that we could have had under the most extreme of situations after we lost Jaylen Hurts, there was no complementariness, no complementary football going on, because we couldn't run the ball on offense. We couldn't convert third downs. Then the defense got stressed once they got back in the game and took the lead. And then the next thing you know, boom, now we're having to blitz because we can't get pressure, and they're just nickel and diming us right down the field. Then we get a couple of busts, a couple of big plays down the field, a couple of long touchdowns. It was just one of those days, man, where I'm looking at them like, what is going on with this football team? But sometimes, when you're distracted the way they were on the offensive side of the ball, it affects you on the defensive side of the ball. But then when you get guys moving in and out, now all of a sudden Jalen Hunt is playing the majority of the plays for Josh Sweat. As promising as that kid is, he's not Josh Sweat. Okay? And when you can't get home with the 4-man, that means you got to bring an extra guy. When you bring those extra guys, what I believe in, you have to do that, but also think that you got to figure out a better way to scheme it, where you're bringing it and you're getting a free runner. Because every time Nakobe Dean came, there was an extra guy waiting on him. That extra offensive lineman was waiting on him. They would double and then come off on him. So now you're rushing 5-on-5 or 6-on-6 instead of getting the free hitter, because they don't like to get in zero coverage. At the end of the day, sky's not falling. The Eagles might not be in position to get the number 1 seed, but if they can get back to playing the way that they were playing and get Jaylen Hurts back on the field and healthy, I still think that this team is going to be one of the most feared teams in the playoffs. Hey, listen, the Detroit Lions had a hell of a day last week with all their little trick plays and whatnot, but they're still beat the hell on the defensive side of the ball. And when you're playing against a team like the Chicago Bears, everybody's going to light them up. So I'm not worried about Detroit. Minnesota is another challenge just because of the talent that they have on the offensive side of the ball from the standpoint of, the wide receivers. But, Sam Darnold, if you can take the play action away, take the run game away, you can get after him a little bit. Who he was is not completely gone, even though I give him a lot of credit for being able to reinvent himself and play the way that he's played. The Eagles have just got to refocus from this. And sometimes, I'd rather have the loss now than to have the loss later on, because in all probability, you're not going to run the table, 13 in a row and then get into the playoffs and win 3 more games to get to the Super Bowl. So it might be a blessing in disguise. They're still in position to get the number 2 seed. They just got to take care of business, the next couple of weeks, or at least one out of the next 2 to secure that spot. And then at least you get a game at home. Somebody's got to come to you, hoping it'll be the Washington Commanders again with Jaylen 100% healthy, so that people can really see what this team, would have done, to the Commanders instead of what happened on Sunday. All right. I think I'm going to end it there. Let's take a quick break. When I come back, the last 20, 25 minutes is all questions from you guys. And my producer will throw them up and I will answer them rapid fire. All right. See you in a sec.
It's happening again. Those missed tackles are starting to stack up. Your friends pleading with players who can't hear them. Sweating it out week after week. But not you. Why? Because whether they score or not, there's always another way to win on the BetParx app. New casino users score up to $1,000 bonus back in their first 24 hours.
At Pawnlee Hockey, we're neither a pawn nor a hockey team. In fact, I don't even know how to skate.
Cut.
We're the injury law firm that you want fighting for you.
With our vast network of attorneys across the country, we know the playbook on injury law.
It's how Pawnlee Hockey recovered billions of dollars for more than 100,000 injured and disabled workers.
And we know we can do the same for you.
So give Pawnlee Hockey a call. No other law firm will fight harder for you.
And you'll never pay a dime until we win.
It's the most wonderful time with the kids jingle. Be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful.
Whether your phone's broken or old, we've got you. With Verizon, anyone can trade in any phone, any condition. And get iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us. And iPad and Apple Watch Series 10, all 3 on us. That's up to $2,000 in value, only on Verizon.
Hello?
Since 1893, Weber Display and Packaging has been Pennsylvania's leading manufacturer of corrugated packaging and displays. We're family owned with 4 Philadelphia locations, 2 converting facilities, a warehouse, and a fulfillment center. Designed through delivery, we exceed customer needs. Weber Display and Packaging. Our core values drive everything we do. Come join our team. All right, guys, let's go. Let's get at it. It's Christmas time. I know y'all got plans, and so do I. So let's get these questions. Let's run them rapid fire. First one up. Adam wants to know, did anyone listen to Clay's press conference? Is there a reason why he didn't switch to Elliott for kickoffs? Geez, man, didn't even kick it away from McCaffrey. Hey, listen, I don't think he really gave us a solid reason, Adam, for what it was. From what I understood, there was a lot of wind in the stadium. It was really windy, and they were having problems getting it deep. But it wasn't just the kicks. Not only was the kicks landing at the 10-yard line, but the coverage was like horrible. Like, when you are on coverage teams, a lot of times that's how some of these guys make the roster. You're there for special teams. You got probably 10 to 12 plays a game. There's no reason why these guys shouldn't be, running down the field like their hair on fire, going to try to make a play. But when you let a guy catch the ball at the 10 on the run, and you don't even see an Eagles player in the frame until he gets to the 30-yard line, that's a problem. That's an effort problem, and that should never be a problem. in my opinion. All right, next question. Segment wants to know what should be the game plan against Cowboys and who should be the starting quarterback this Sunday. If not Jaylen. Well, listen, I'm hoping and praying that Jaylen's going to be fine and be ready to go. I think his recovery will be quite a bit, faster than most guys, but some guys are different. Some guys take a long time to recover. Some guys, bounce right back. I felt like, he was prepared and ready to go back into the game on Sunday and probably could have. But the powers that be, made another decision. So I get the sense that, he'll be ready to play. I don't think they're going to make a change at quarterback if he can't play. I think they're going to go with Pickett again. For some reason or another, they've loved this kid. I'm not that high on him. I thought that in training camp, Tanner McKee outperformed him and actually won the job. But the coaches saw it differently, and he's the number 2, and I think he'll continue to be the number 2. I think that Tanner McKee is a much more natural passer, a more rhythm passer than Kenny Pickett is. I mean, if you look at Kenny Pickett's throws, after he threw 2 passes in the middle of the field, or in between the numbers, or in between the hashes. One of them got intercepted. The other one, Devontae dropped. The rest of his passes were all outside outside. If I can see that as an analyst, you mean to tell me that that the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys is not going to see that and make the adjustment? So, hey, listen, they're going to do what they do. I mean, I know why you asked the question. I think that Tanner McKee is the better pure passer. The other thing that I wanted to talk about that I forgot to bring up when it comes to Hurts, and I feel strongly about this. I think that the Eagles need to either draft or go and bring on board a quarterback who possess some of the same skill sets that Jaylen Hurts possesses. Now, I get it. He's not going to be Jaylen, okay? But that backup quarterback needs to have the ability to run the read option, to keep it and run, to hand it off to Saquon, or pull it and throw the ball via the RPO. If you look at the Baltimore Ravens, this is their offense. They got a guy. They've always had a guy like that, right there in there as the backup for Lamar Jackson, so that when your quarterback goes out, you don't have to scrap the entire game plan. You can maybe minimalize it a little bit, but you don't have to scrape the whole thing. You got Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee, and neither one of those guys do any of the things that there it goes. It's Hundley that backs up Lamar Jackson. And when he's out, this guy comes in and does an admirable job. But you got 2 quarterbacks on your roster that doesn't possess any of the skill sets whatsoever that Jaylen Hurts possesses. And it's not that hard because everybody in college football is running this type of offense now. Go get you one of those guys and bring him in and train him and get him ready to be the guy. I mean, you sign him as an undrafted free agent, so there's no expectations that he's going to come in here and take Jaylen's job. He's just happy to be in the league. But he has those skill sets that you can train and bring him along in the next year or two, so that when and if Jaylen gets hurt, you can go out and still run the same offense without having to adjust it. I don't understand why that's not at the top of Howie's priority list to get that done. I talked about it for the last 2 years, and I earmarked some guys over the last 2 years that they should have went and drafted. Now, one of the guys got drafted like in the 5th or the 6th round last year. But in my opinion, a 4th or maybe even a 3rd round pick is worth it, because you know that Jaylen at some point in time, the way that you make a decision to run him, you know he's going to get hurt. And if he gets hurt, you can't always change, what you're trying to do. And what they tried to do with Kenny Pickett was so shrunk down that it played right into Dan Quinn's hand and the defense's hands, because there was only a handful of things that they could do. Throw the ball to AJ, 15 targets or 16 targets, throw the ball to Smitty on a slant or something, or a comeback, or hand the ball off to Saquon. No tight end, no other wide receiver. He even looked their way. So you got to figure that out. You got to go out and get that guy that complements Jaylen. So if and when he gets hurt, boom, you can just put him in, shrink the game plan, but he can still hold the defense accountable to the things that you like to do. That has to be priority number one, in my opinion, going into this year. All right, next question. Cedric wants to know, without Jaylen, should the Eagles run a short passing game? 3, 4, 5, 7? Absolutely. That's the other thing, said. I didn't understand why they didn't put Kenny Pickett under center more, especially if you want to go play action, which I think they should have did more of on first and second down. Put him under center, go play action pass off of it, let the defense collapse on Saquon, and throw the ball. Absolutely. Everybody else does it, you know. But you got to understand, too, that the wide receivers have got to win at the line of scrimmage. A lot of those targets went to AJ because with Marshawn Lattimore, they decided we're gonna go, you know, single high safety. We're going to crowd the box, and we're going to get up and we're going to play bump and run. And, you know, AJ caused, 3 PI calls that got them substantial yards that moved them into position. It wasn't that the offense was moving. Those PIs put us in position to get the field goals that we got. That's just a fact. Nobody wants to even, you know, have that conversation and talk about that. They want to talk about how serviceable Kenny Pickett was. And I'm not saying that he wasn't, but let's be real. Most of the yards the Eagles got, they got them because of penalties that put them in position. And those 5 turnovers that we created, that we only turned into like 6 to 10 points. If Jaylen's in the game and he's got the ball, the defense is turning over at that clip, we're going to convert at least 3 of those to touchdowns, and the game is over. It's over. We're not even having this conversation. We're celebrating being 13-2. Listen, I agree, man. A lot of what you're saying makes a lot of sense. I've been saying it. I've been talking about it. Okay, you're good. You can put it up. Why didn't Kellen Moore spread the receivers more to create lanes for Saquon? That's another thing. That's another thing. Terrence, that's such a good point, because I talked about it, you know, in my TV show this week. The Eagles like to run a lot of condensed formations, you know, where they have the wide receivers cut their splits down, or they go 2 tight ends, and the 2 tight ends are close to the box or connected to the box. Well, you've already gone single high. The defense has already gone single high safety on you, right? So that means you already got the free hitter in the box. You already got the extra guy in the box that you can't account for. So when you condense the formations by cutting the receiver split down, or even if you split out a tight end, he's only 5 yards from the box. Well, if they're going man to man, you already got guys, extra guys. You're adding more guys to the box. So now what winds up happening when they go and they try to hand it off to Saquon, if the wide receivers and the tight ends aren't picking those guys off, those guys are inserting themselves in the gap and making plays in the backfield for losses. You're 100% correct. If you want to run the ball on first down, go 3 wides, split the wide receivers out, keep the tight end in the block, and run the ball that way. And run away from the weak side in, so you don't have to block him. Let that guy chase it. But you can't run up the middle and think that guy on the weak side is not going to crash and destroy the play. You got to run off tackle to the strong side. And when you run off tackle on the strong side, you run those stretch plays and run off tackle to the strong side. Now that backside guy doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of chasing it down from the backside if you block it up right. Because when you set him free and you say, okay, you got to chase it down, that means you're blocking everybody else man to man. Man to man. And if everybody's doing their job, guess what? You're going to have some success. But when you condense things down, you just bring more guys in the box, which makes it that much harder. Now, if you can block it up when you got Jaylen in the game, if you can block it up the right way, that's where Saquon is breaking some of these runs. Because even though you got the extra guy in the box and things are condensed, they still got to be cognizant of Jaylen pulling that ball. And if they got to worry about him pulling the ball, well, guess what? Those guys can't shoot that gap. Because if they shoot the gap and he pulls it and throws it, now you got a guy that's running wide open by himself down the field. If he pulls it and he runs it and those guys block up, you still got man blocking across the board. You don't got anybody shooting the gap. Terrence, you know, you're thinking exactly what I was thinking. Okay, you want to get some of those guys out of the box, get out of those tight formations, spread them out. Now you can run the ball. Now Saquon's got a chance. If you put the extra guy in the box and you condense, you don't have a snowball's chance. And that's exactly what happened to him last week. Next question. Carlton wants to know, why didn't our coach use the 2 timeouts on the winning drive on that last play? You know, I don't know, man. It's not fresh enough in my mind to really, you know, that I remember asking myself, why didn't Sirianni call timeouts? I'm not sure. You know, maybe he didn't think the defense would hold up anyway, and he didn't want to burn them in hopes of, you know, potentially putting them in a situation where they could get the ball and at least get in a position to potentially, you know, kick another field goal. I'm not sure. You know, there's a lot of things that I remember. I don't remember that one. Just because I don't know that it was really that much of a factor, to be honest with you. All right, next question. Cardell wants to know, who do you fear in the playoffs? For this football team, I don't fear anybody. I really don't. I really don't fear anybody until we get to the AFC. Obviously, you know, you got concerns about Mahomes. No matter how bad or how good they're playing, you know, he makes plays when it's critical. Josh Allen could be a problem, because if that little skinny kid down in Washington could run roughshod through our defense the way he did last week, what in the world you think Josh Allen's going to do? So I don't have any concerns in the NFC. My concerns would be who they wind up facing if they can get to the Super Bowl, because it's going to be one of those 2 teams, or it's going to be Lamar again. And, you know, we've already shown that we could take care of him, but he's going to probably run the ball more too. So that's the area of concern. All right. Next question. When you were a player, who was your favorite coach to play for? Man, Buddy Ryan for sure, man. Our mentalities was the same. Our approach was the same. The way we thought about the game and analyzed the game was the same. Listen, there's no doubt about it. You know, he was one of the greatest coaches to ever coach in the National Football League, no matter what people think about, you know, how he ran his offense. His intent was to build a defense similar to what they had in Chicago, and then build the offense, you know, secondarily. And he was in the process of trying to do that when he was fired. So, but way ahead of himself, way ahead of, you know, the defensive mindsets. A lot of things that you see these coaches doing today, and we were doing those things back in, you know, the late 80s, early 90s, for sure. Nobody called them zone blitzes back in the day, but man, we ran those all the time. We ran blitzes that people couldn't pick up. You know, we ran 8-man fronts before, you know, 8-man fronts, you know, was nouveau. We were doing all of that stuff way, way back in the day. Ain't nothing new under the sun. A lot of what you see these coaches running today, we was running that back, you know, in 1986 when I came in the league. So, next question. AK wants to know, why in short yard situations is Nick calling shotgun runs instead of heavy personnel, like I formation? Hey, listen, man, you guys got some hell of a, you know, questions. You guys ask me why. I don't know why, because I wouldn't do it that way either. I would never be in shotgun in a short yardage situation where I've got the back offset to me, right or left, you know, and because you know where the ball has to go. If he's offset on the right side, the ball's got to go across the formation. If he's on the left side, it's got to go across the formation to the right. The smart thing to do, if you got to be in shotgun, put him in pistol. So at least he's got a 2-way go. Or just line the center up, you know, line the quarterback up on the center and put the back right behind him. and he just reverses out to whichever side he wants to hand the ball off. But to stay in shotgun, I don't know. A lot of these teams do that. They line up in shotgun in third and short situations, and they want to run the football, but you put yourself at such a disadvantage when that running back is offset either right or left. As a defender, I'm trying to get my tackles to get penetration to the side where you have to come through. So we're going to shoot the gap, but we're going to slant the line. If he's offset to the right, the defensive line is going to slant to the right because they know that he's got to come across to get the ball. I don't get it either. I don't understand it. Next question. Bird Game Pat wants to know what's my take on the Eagles' 2-minute defense under Fangio. We've blown late leads like the Cousins drive week 2 and the Commanders game winning week 15. Is it the scheme or the? Hey, listen, man. When you're not getting pressure, that affects how coordinators actually call plays. Now, I agree with you. Against the Falcons, I think he was still trying to figure out, whether we should be aggressive or non-aggressive. This week, we just weren't getting pressure. So I think he backed off and felt like, hey, we'll bend but don't break until we get to the red zone, and then, I'll start getting more aggressive. But you know me, I always want to err on the side of aggressiveness, even over aggressiveness at times. But when a defensive coordinator doesn't have the confidence in his players to execute and get something done, then more times than not, you see them take a more passive stance. And I don't agree with it, but if that's the way he felt he needed to play it, that's the way you're going to see it. And those are the two anomalies, because I think in the 4-minute situation or the 2-minute situation, as the game is winding down, that the Eagles have been pretty damn good this year. I think they've been good, with the exception of all right. Next question. Mark wants to know, why don't we blitz? Listen, Mark, we do blitz. I mean, if you're watching the game, they're blitzing the Kobe. They're blitzing Zach Bond. The problem is how it's being drawn up. It's not being drawn up in a way where, you got guys crossing. It's like, they're blitzing guys or they're blitzing, Zach Bond in the A or the B gap. And, those guys are just set. When they set and they see him coming, it's like, okay, now guys one-on-one, we're going to pick the linebacker up, And the times where there were times in that game the other day where even when they did come with a 6-man look, they either kept the tight end in to help block, or the back picked up, and the back did a good job of blocking and picking up, the linebacker coming. I'm always, doodling on a pad, drawing up blitzes from when I played, and blitzes that, in my mind, I'm sitting there, I'm creating, okay? But there's so much that you can do. You can shoot Jalen Carter down in the A gap and then bring, Nakobe Dean around, or run a pick play where, you line Nakobe Dean on the center and he takes the inside shoulder of the guard, okay, and then you wrap Jalen Carter around him, because he's on that inside shoulder. He's already got a gap. All he's got to do is just continue on to the quarterback. There's so many different ways that they could, run these blitzes, but they run them from a very vanilla structure. And a lot of times they don't get there unless they can fool the protection and get a guy one-on-one on against a back, and every once in a while they win. Linebackers haven't been winning their one-on-ones in situations where they've been sent and they're on backs. All right. I think this might be the last question. Let's do it. Billy wants to know, why are our DBs always playing 5 to 8 yards back when times when they need that for first down? I don't know if I'm reading that right. I get what you're saying. Why are they off the ball, and the offense only needs 5 yards, but they're lined up 8 yards off the ball? No, I get it. I agree 100%. My thing is, get up and challenge wide receivers at the line of scrimmage and force the quarterback to make great throws. Because 9 times out of 10, I want to put that up right quick. I'm just going to click it on. Don't worry about it, Alex. I'm going to put that up. Chris says, send a nickel, send Cooper DeJean more. Hey, listen, they did that early in the year. They sent, Cooper DeJean a lot. I don't see them sending them as much as they used to, but yeah, you do. You need to send some slot, some slot blitzes. Walk the safety down weak, send them and the linebacker. You got to do some of those things. I don't know if they have it in their playbook. I know that they got the Cooper DeJean's, blitzes in the playbook. They haven't run a whole lot of them lately. But I just think, to answer, the previous question, they need to get up and challenge guys at the line of scrimmage, man on man, mano y mano. I'm going to jam you at the line of scrimmage. I'm going to run with you. More times than not, if you're outside, they're going to run the fade routes, force the quarterback to make a great throw. But, they don't do it that way. I don't understand it. I don't get it. But I'm not calling the defense, and I'm not responsible for the defense, to be honest with you, because if I was, they'd be playing much more aggressive, much more often. Get up, get off. Even if you got a third, you can get up and act like you're gonna jam the guy, and the ball snaps, you bail. So many different ways to do it. Just give them a bunch of different looks. Don't just have it be the same look all the time. Don't line up like robots and say, okay, he's going to be here every time. Don't line your defensive tackles up in the same place every time and have them rush from the same angle. Start running some games, especially when you're not getting pressure out of your four-man look. You got to run some ET stunts and some TNT stunts and some double slants with a wrap behind it. All of that stuff, confuses protection. All right? Y'all got me fired up tonight, man. Hey, listen, Merry Christmas to you all. And happy 2025. The next time we'll chat, we'll be in the new year. Rooting for our Birds to get back on track against them Cowgirls this week. And hopefully they can get that done. Finish the season off on a good note. Win these last two games. Saquon go get the record. Jaylen gets healthy. And let's march on into 2025 and the playoffs, the way we need to. All right. As usual, you guys take care of each other and be good to each other. But most importantly, make sure you love each other. I'll see you guys next week. Fly, Eagles, fly. Go Birds. Happy holidays.
Get peace of mind. Drive certified at DavisCertified.com.
How do you make sure your next vehicle purchase is a quality vehicle priced right? Go to DavisCertified.com.
Every Davis certified pre-owned vehicle has a 60-day, 2,000-mile powertrain warranty, plus 2 years of free oil changes, a 3-day exchange policy, and a free Carfax report.
Get peace of mind. Drive certified at DavisCertified.com.
Gentlemen, are you ready for a wardrobe update? Introducing Divine Nine's Custom Menswear, your clothier for truly unique, custom-made threads. With Divine Nine, you can design your own one-of-a-kind suit, jacket, slacks, shirts, golf pants, and shorts, perfectly handcrafted by our skilled artisans who will bring your vision to life. Prepare to stand out from the crowd with Divine Nine's Custom Clothier, official clothier of Seth Joyner. Custom clothing made for you.
Pride, passion, and persistence. These are the values that drive us all at Ron Jaworski Golf. We strive to deliver outstanding conditions as well as playability for golfers of all ages and abilities. Our championship golf courses offer a variety of challenges from a link-style walk along the river to an escape into the pines and everything in between. My team at Ron Jaworski Golf is committed to delivering memorable experiences every single day. See all we do at ronjaworskigolf.com.
It's the most wonderful time with the kids jingle. Be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful.
Whether your phone's broken or old, we've got you. With Verizon, anyone can trade in any phone, any condition. And get iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence on us. And iPad and Apple Watch Series 10, all three on us. That's up to $2,000 in value. Only on Verizon.
This is Parks. Parks, Pennsylvania's #1 casino experience. This is how you win.